Hello there, Scorpio, and welcome to your September reading. It's really great to see you again, and I would like to give a nice warm welcome to all of my return viewers. I really appreciate your love, your support, and most importantly, I appreciate that you're continuing to show up here and work on yourselves each and every month. That's what this is all about. If you're brand new, I'd also like to introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and let me talk a little bit about how I organize each and every month's reading. I like to start off with some channeled information, and by far this is probably my favorite part because this gives me a chance to just connect directly with my guides and with my intuition, and I communicate whatever I see, feel, or hear. And right after that, we go into a much deeper dive using a Celtic Cross. And with the Celtic Cross, I'm going to look at the highs, the lows, and any sort of challenges that might be coming through. And I like to really allow that to be a very organic part of the reading. After that, I will expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny in what I call the expanded forecast. I've designed the readings so that you can always use them for your sun sign, your rising, as well as your moon, and you can watch on behalf of someone in your life that you care about. If you don't happen to know your sun, your rising, and your moon, then just stick with the sign that you were born under, and that'll give you all of the information that you need for the month ahead. So as you can tell, this is a very comprehensive reading, and I hope you enjoy what I've done here. In fact, if you do, please stick around until the very end. In addition to giving you a nice, concise review of everything that we talk about, I'll also go into some details on how you can support the channel. I'm going to quickly go through that now. This includes everything from liking and subscribing, of course, to joining me on social media or booking an appointment if you want some more in-depth information. And finally, you can connect with me on Patreon or even here through YouTube and become a patron. There's also a way to do a one-time contribution on my website. So I'll go into much more detail at the very end of this and let you know how that makes a difference and why it's important. But I know you're here for your reading. So right here and right now, let's talk about your channeled information for the month of September. This month, after selecting a deck of cards and meditating on your sign, the first image that came through was that of your auric field. And for me, I was paying attention to the fact that it seemed to sort of be flickering like the candles that are behind me. And when it was going in a little bit, I was really paying attention to the fact that there were areas of your body that seemed to be open or susceptible to other people's energy. And I think what is really important for you this month is to make ample time for rest and meditation. Many of us have been taught or sort of culturally trained to see sleep, rest, and meditation as a luxury or as a sign of weakness or as something that we can just sort of figure that we don't need. While it's true that you can sometimes push yourself, when you continue to burn the candle at both ends, or you continually deplete your internal energy reserves, eventually the body will push back against that and say no, or we don't sort of pay attention to the warning signs that are going on, and we become susceptible for illness, for stress, and if you're empathic, you can also then pick up on things that you would normally filter out, like other people's emotions or the actually palpable energy of the stress of the environment, etc. So you have an ability this month, if you ration your time and energy, to push through any challenges that come your way, and in fact, possibly even have some extra energy and time to do things that you love or spend time with people in your life that you care about. And the simple key to this is just to make sure that you're not working yourself to the point of exhaustion, you're getting enough sleep, you're eating well, and most importantly, that you start and end the day with a small meditation. I don't care if it's 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. It needs to be somewhere in that range. But you can do this, as I was telling another sign, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're in the shower, right after you wake up. If you're still in bed for a moment, you can just take a few deep breaths and meditate. And see, the first thing you want to focus on is your auric field. We were talking about this. When I have a one-on-one with a client, a lot of times what I will help them do is kind of work through a grounding exercise and then help them connect to the light. So let's talk about what you could do in the morning. You could imagine that you were at your favorite location. Maybe it's the beach or a forest or anywhere that's sacred to you. You could even be sort of out in, some astral realm that you only know about, whatever, that doesn't matter. See yourself in that space and then connect with a source of light. So if you are at the beach, for instance, you could see yourself meditating on, beautifully clean, clear, manicured beach, and maybe you have your feet right at the edge of the water, so you can feel that coming through, and you have a connection to the earth, to the water. And as you watch the sun rise, beautiful shades of tangerine, of yellow, and of golden light, you see a single ray of light coming towards you on the water. And if you've ever been to a pier or to the beach right at sunrise or sunset, you'll see how it kind of dances along the water, and there's little orbs of light. And I want you to kind of see that coming just to you. It's like it's connecting and anchoring into your heart space. And all those little orbs of light, you can see them starting to coalesce around you, penetrating your auric field until they become one orb of light around you. And you start to feel the warmth and radiance within your heart where that ray of light connected with you. And soon you realize that you are just like that beautiful star in front of you that we call the sun, because, as I've said before, we're constituted from the remains of a supernova. Everything on this planet, everything in the solar system comes from the death of a previous star. So in essence, we are stardust, and we are connected to that, just like that Joni Mitchell song. So we are ancient, we are stardust, we are able to glow, to emanate light, and you are connecting with something ancient and sacred within. Feel yourself being so strong and so bright that not only can you get through the day, but you can probably give energy to other people just like our star can do. And once you feel that sense of power, of protection, of energy, you can take a nice deep breath, open your eyes, and begin the day in a way that you've never done before. For your sleep ritual, you can do a very similar approach. I would say just make it more gentle. And you could maybe imagine that you're sort of sleeping in a hammock between two trees underneath the night sky, and there's a beautiful moon above you, and you see this ray of silver light connecting with you, your heart, your mind, your body, your spirit. And maybe that beam of light is so strong that it helps you levitate towards the moon until you actually are on the moon itself. And you feel that bright light, that radiance moving through your body, cocooning you and protecting you. And as you are laying on the surface of the moon, you feel almost as if you're being held by the arms of a mother or a father. And anything that you're trying to create in your life, the lunar energy while you sleep is going to move through those things so that they can become fruitful. It's going to protect you, protect your family, and most importantly, protect your mind while you dream. The moon is basically a guardian. You can imagine it sort of taking on the persona of Artemis. Strong, divine feminine, and amazingly protective energy. Artemis is the hunter. She will not allow any harm to come your way. So there you go. Those are a couple of examples. You can have a lot of fun with it. You can attach to any sort of imagery or symbology that feels natural to you. In my automatic writing, the message was you have to recharge, and that this self-care is not only going to help you stay healthy, but it's really going to be the key component to your success this month. Success in work, school, relationships, and again, just being a healthy, happy human being. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at all of the cards and see what the messages are for this month. I'm going to remain quiet while I pull the full Celtic Cross and the expanded forecast, so please be patient as I do that. I'll be right back after this to talk about each and every card and relate it to the messages for the month ahead. All right, this month you probably noticed that 2 cards came through for your catalyst, and interestingly enough, they're both spiders. The first card that came through, they were both reversed by the way, but it doesn't matter, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the first card that came through was the tarantula, and then the second one was the spider card. And it's interesting that the web was underneath this one. I want to talk about that first. Just looking at the traditional spider web and the spider on top of this. Try not to get caught up in other people's drama this month, because just as this card attached to the other card, you could get pulled in to something that is a lot stickier, a lot bigger, a lot more complicated than you first imagined. And my guides are also telling me that there's some sort of a sacrifice or casualty involved with this. It could be a friendship, it could be reputation, it could be your time and energy, because as I said earlier, you're gonna need to recharge and protect yourself. So I think you wanna avoid unnecessary drama, and you'll be able to identify this person typically because they always ask for a little bit or need a little bit more than they ask for. And that's the other piece with this. I feel like if there's someone in your life and consistently you feel like they just don't do things altruistically, or that there's always a string attached, this is the month to have proper limits to say no and to protect yourself from getting involved with that. It's also important this month to be aware that title, popularity, and also just outward appearances have nothing to do with what someone is capable of, either in a positive or a negative light. If we look at these 2 spiders, the bigger one isn't always the more important one or the more dangerous one. You can have a small spider that can do just as much as this, and sometimes be even more dangerous than a tarantula. So I want you to look at people in your life and not underestimate them. There could be someone, for instance, that is an executive assistant that is pivotal to your success this month. And if you don't treat them with respect and with kindness, you're never going to get that phone call or that meeting with someone that you need for a signature, for an approval, for something to go through. So you should treat everyone like they're the executive. And that's a great way to live life anyway. I've talked about this before, but it especially is true because I see these 2 cards. This same sort of approach is valid for you as well this month. And I don't want you to underestimate your own abilities. And I think that what you want to really do is get in tune with how you're projecting yourself. With the tarantula, this can be something that feels like too aggressive, too in your face, bigger than life. And with the spider, it's something that is feeling like, well, I don't know if I trust you. It's also too far removed. Look at the perspective difference between the 2. I think the answer is like something in the middle. So it's not, you're not too close, you're not too far, you're right in the middle. And that's what you want to be focusing on this month, is coming through exactly halfway, trying to be empathic and understand what the other person needs. Also being assertive enough that you're able to make an impact and let them know that you mean business too. So you're somewhere between the tarantula and the spider. You have an ability to also bring people into your ideas. You can spin your own web, your own ideas, and other people can then get attached to that in a positive way because of your excitement, because of your enthusiasm, because of your body language, and also the way you're communicating. The last thing that I'd like to talk about is something that I mentioned way at the beginning, which is that the position of these cards didn't matter. I could be looking at this way, this way, this way. It doesn't matter this month because a spider is able to basically scale walls. It can descend from the ceiling. It can hide. It's very agile. It's very flexible. And this month, you have really great survival techniques. You can get through any situation, whether it's really great or it's really challenging. And you can also help other people through that as well. Your problem-solving abilities are amazing this month. And there may be people in your midst that are equally as adept. And I would say like the final note is you may have met your divine partner or your match this month, because to me, these are like 2 peas in a pod. They look a little bit different, but they really function the same. So there may be someone or something that comes through. You wouldn't see it as a typical match, but it's going to be a match. And there's going to be a nice complementary energy because you think similarly, but you have a very different approach. So if you can find a way to work together, it's harmonious. If you otherwise are clashing, then you're going to get stuck in this person's web, and you could be missing an opportunity to really partner in a positive way. All right, let's go ahead now and move along to your center card here. We have the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. I see the Seven of Pentacles as a card of recovery. The reversal shows me that there's still some work to do, however. A lot of times this comes through when you're trying to save more. Maybe you don't have any debt, but you're just not happy with your overall financial security. So this is about investing and saving for the future. It can also come through when you're trying to pay down existing debts or bills. And this is showing that you want to have, for most intents and purposes, a pretty conservative approach when it comes to your money this month. You don't want to spend too much, and you don't want to be in a position where you are stretching yourself too thin. The interesting thing that I see with this is that things probably are not as bad as they seem, but what you need to do is basically get comfortable with where you're at, because right on top of the Seven of Pentacles, we have the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is a fear-based card, and you notice here that the person is not looking at what's going on. So that feeling of being trapped or unaware, or kind of like putting your blinders on and thinking, if I just don't look at it, it won't exist, that's not the way to approach this. Some of you just may feel like you need more information, and so the simple way to diffuse the energy of the Eight of Swords is by picking up the phone and talking to a financial advisor or to somebody that understands what's going on. Asking for help, asking for advice, doing the research, Googling stuff, and getting informed. That's going to be essential this month to continuing your financial security and recovery, and more importantly, informing yourself so that we can achieve what we see here in the outcome, which is the King of Pentacles. So I see a turnaround happening for you. This indicates where you're at, and this is the future. It could be the future for the next quarter of the year. Some of you may even see a nice new job opportunity or a windfall of money coming through that's going to help you this month. So if that's the case, then that's fantastic, and you just want to get prepared. Because the Seven of Pentacles can also indicate that you want to do better with your money. So maybe you do get an inheritance or an unexpected financial gain, and now you are kind of at a place where you're thinking like, I want to make this money work for me. I don't want to squander it, or I don't want to spend too much in ways that are not going to sort of benefit me in the long run. So definitely engage with a financial specialist this month if that's something that you need assistance with. It'll be well worth your time. And you can diffuse this fear-based card. Remember, this was crossing that, so it doesn't mean that it's actually going to exist. It just is showing that for some of you, the feeling that you don't have enough or that you're not in control is simply because you don't have enough information. So getting informed, asking questions, that's the best way to get rid of that feeling of the Eight of Swords. In the deep past, we have Ace of Wands, which is showing that many of you may be embarking on something brand new, a new business idea, even just something new that you want to try in your life. It could be, starting a new class, starting some sort of a new routine. Whatever it is, it feels like there's a lot of creative energy and inspiration that is attached to it. The only thing that we see here is that sometimes this can take on a life of its own and feel overwhelming. So I want you to be inspired, but I don't want you to get so far into something this month that it either becomes the sense of being overwhelming, pressure-inducing, or that you feel like it's getting out of your control. If it's a business idea, you might need partnership, because we'll talk about this in a moment, but I see the Four of Wands in the crowning position. If it's something like we talked about earlier where you have new resources coming in, either new teammates, new money, whatever, you probably will need to delegate or involve more people. So I'm seeing growth and expansion happening with something that you thought up or something that you're involved in, something that you're thinking about and working on. So don't be afraid to ask for help to kind of spread that energy, because you're being challenged this month to step up in a way that you may not have been in the past. We see here in your recent past the Star. And the Star is about you taking more of a front stage, more accountability, more visibility, and really owning your power. It's interesting that we were meditating on the energy of starlight earlier here, because with the Star, that's really what you need to do, is to shine. And when the Star comes through in a client reading, a lot of times what this can indicate, sometimes I'm reading for someone who is a performer or in politics or just, again, a public figure, but it can also be a sort of stand up and stand out moment in your life. So it doesn't happen all the time, but you could be called upon this life to really be a person that people are going to for expertise, for advice, for direction. Don't shy away from this, because this is going to open up more opportunities. And I actually think that this is going to help you ascend to a new sort of frequency, and also maybe even status at work or social status, because your crowning card is the Four of Wands. And this is people championing this shift or this change with you. A lot of times I see Six of Wands being public acclaim, but this is showing that this is sort of a grassroots effort first. And some of you may, just decide to sort of stay in that grassroots energy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like you are going to have more support this month than you expect, and maybe even know what to do with. And the challenge will be, how do I lead? How do I delegate? And how do I not shy away from this newfound exposure or visibility? Now, some of you may also simply be meeting someone in your life, as I said earlier, that is a match or a complement to your skills. The star can indicate a deep soul connection, something that I would typically sort of connect with, if not a soulmate, even a twin flame energy. And I use that very carefully. I don't talk about that all the time, but the star is a significant partnership opportunity or a friendship opportunity. And that friendship is how it all begins. So don't be surprised if something starts off in a very sort of friendly manner, but then there is an ability or an opportunity to go deeper and to possibly create a romantic relationship here. The only thing that seems a little bit at odds is that one of you seems more kind of interested in a long-term relationship, and the other one seems a little bit more casual if this is, a brand new person coming into your life. And if it is a professional sort of thing, this shows that, someone is very much business-minded, and there's someone that's a little bit more social here. So this is where I feel like the personality conflicts could come into play, and you want to be careful. This is going to be a very busy month for you. As we look in the near future, we have the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords upright is really positive, but it does carry with it a note that deadlines, schedules, and activity, it's going to be sped up. There's going to be a lot of it, and it's important for you to be communicative, to really step up to the plate, and to set any sort of expectations that you have for others in your life so that they're seeing you as the leader. In fact, I keep looking at the spider and the tarantula, and now I actually see the two personalities coming through. We have the Knight of Swords, and then we have the King of Swords. So in a business situation, this can show two people that could be at odds. If you are a supervisor and you're the Knight of Swords, you could have someone that's older and more experienced that you're overseeing, and there could be, this situation where they're trying to sort of one-up your management skills. The reverse could be true. You could be someone that has something great to offer, but there's someone who won't listen to you. Remember what I said earlier, there might be a person on that team or someone that's connected to them that will be an essential ally that can kind of help you go behind the scenes and get that idea heard and seen and basically make it happen. In fact, as we look at your environment card, it's the Three of Cups. I'll talk more about this in a moment, but that's all about networking, connections, etc. The only thing that I'm going to say with this is not to get involved with gossip. It will get back to the source. It's also going to get you tied up in something that you don't need. And that's where I was talking earlier about a casualty being perhaps your reputation, even your job. You don't want to have that happen. The other thing that I see with King of Swords and Knight of Swords and connecting to the star is that some of you may be meeting a soulmate or, again, a really close friend, and there's an age or an experience gap between the two of you. When there's a deep soul connection, sometimes this does not matter. And in fact, it's a sort of common thread when you look at twin flame relationships. So if there's some sort of an age gap, but you feel this wonderful affinity towards that person, don't let that get in the way. I mentioned earlier that the outward appearance can be really deceptive, or social status. I would add age to that. Whatever you think is normally what you're looking for, the universe is throwing some curveballs this month and saying, actually, you really want this, or consider this. So keep an open mind, because at the very least, you could be meeting a wonderful friend, a great ally, and whether they're older or younger than you expected, they still have a lot to offer, and I see a lot of great connective energy with that as well. With the Knight of Swords, also some of you may be executing on a contract, signing on the dotted line, writing something really important, or reviewing something written that is also very important. One of the stand-up opportunities that you have this month is to improve your communication skills, because we see that sort of graduation between the Knight and the King. So don't underestimate yourself, going back to what I said way back at the beginning in the channeled message. I think what's really important for everybody this month is having sort of a direction of where you're headed. When I look at the ego, we have the Two of Swords in reverse, and of all the swords cards, I fear this one the least. It's basically just coming through because you have to make a decision, and there may not be a very, black and white answer. So what you're going to try to do is get all the information that you can and take a leap of faith, trusting your intuition, listening to people around you. Like I said, you might have a really good advisor in your midst, even though they may not come in the sort of package that you were expecting. The most important thing with the Two of Swords is to pick a direction and go in that direction once you've made your mind up, done the research, and not second guess yourself forever, because there isn't really a perfect option. And so you're going to make the best choice, and then you'll move forward with that. That's basically what I see. The only other thing that comes through with that is to not overlook what other people are saying and thinking, because the Two of Swords, much like the Eight of Swords, can be sort of a blindfolded card or a blindsided card, and it is connected to Three of Cups. So Three of Cups is word of mouth, gossip, what the community is saying. It's that sort of grassroots energy. And if you sort of pick up on something that's going on and think, that'll just go away, it's in the environment, it's not going to go away. You need to sort of have a conversation with people about whatever it is that you're sensing, especially if it's something that you don't like. If it's something that's going well, then you need to acknowledge someone for whatever they're doing, and this is going to be a great step-up opportunity for them as well. Three of Cups in the environment also indicates that some of you are interested in dating this month. I always get questions about romance. When it's appropriate, I'll mention it. And I did say earlier that I think what is key is that there's a little bit of a disconnect between Four of Wands and Three of Cups for me. They both can indicate relationships, but they indicate different types of relationships and different levels of commitment. You may think that you want to get into a long-term relationship, but this energy is more about exploring options, keeping things casual, or perhaps you're meeting someone that's in this mindset as well. So if you want one thing but the other person doesn't, you can't change them. And so just be very realistic as you're entering into that, and allow them or allow yourself to kind of say no and kind of go after what it is that you really want. There's a lot of different personalities that are coming through this month. I mentioned the sort of atypical pairing, which could be, a difference in age, but a lot of similarities in interest. There's also a King of Pentacles energy coming through, a very grounded, very successful person that I don't really see anything negative to sort of say about, other than this person is ready to settle down. So if you're not ready to settle down, then this isn't the person for you. For those of you that are single and happy, the Four of Wands and Three of Cups shows an ability for you to network. It's really positive for making new friends. It's really positive for business endeavors. So don't worry, you have a great ability this month to really just get yourself out there. And I think it's important to own that sort of social energy that wants to come through, even if you don't want to date. If you're single and looking, we talked about what that could mean for you. There's, again, that potential pairing that doesn't make sense but feels right. There's also a person that might be interested in being more serious. The question is, are you? For those of you that are in a relationship and want to kind of work through things, it's really important to look at the Three of Cups. This can simply mean that the two of you, you and your partner, need to spend some time together. And this is romantic. This is about being playful and kind of mixing up the routine a little bit. So do something unusual, be a little bit spontaneous, and definitely make time to just be close and intimate. And that doesn't always involve sex. It can just be about, spending time together, learning about how someone's doing and just talking to them. But intimacy is coming through, and it's a component that really is necessary. The Three of Cups can also indicate a celebration in your life, perhaps because you've done well at work, or there's a graduation or something of that nature. So that's great, and it's a perfect thing to, connect with friends and family with. But for those of you in a relationship, this can also indicate a question of, do I want to stay? It's a sort of a test for the relationship. And, if one partner is having problems staying faithful, or has expressed interest to have an open relationship, or wants to know how committed you are, this is something a little bit deeper that you'll have to talk about, and you definitely want to work that out. The good news is your crowning card is the Four of Wands, so you can work through these sort of things. I do think that what's most important is that you are communicative and that both of your needs are being met this month. Looking at hopes and fears, King of Swords upright. This is just about owning your ability to speak for yourself, to stand up. And again, it's it's paired evenly with the Star. You're going to be asked to communicate or to be seen this month. The question is, do you want to? In the outcome with the King of Pentacles, I see success and growth and recovery when it comes to money and resources. So if you really follow all of the things that we've been talking about, some great things are awaiting you in the future. Let's go ahead now and take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll begin with your health card. A quick note that health isn't simply what's going on physically. In fact, it's more attuned to your emotions, your energy, and oftentimes your environment. This month you have a card about travel. It's called Journey. The card was reversed. It reminds me a lot of the Fool, actually. And with the Fool, I would say there's a need for you to, one, get outside when we're talking about health, to kind of change up your environment. It could also be about taking a break, a holiday, a vacation. This goes back to recharging, self-care. The reason this is important is because the reversal is showing that it's probably overdue, and that's necessary to get you back to that place of feeling replenished. Now, the reversal of this, and if we looked at it as the Fool card in relation to your health, can also mean that you don't want to take any unnecessary risks or put yourself into situations that are harmful. This is about really thinking through things before you jump head first. So do your research. We looked at the center, and when we're looking at recovery here, whether it's financial or health or otherwise, even emotional, you need to make sure that you're protected, that you understand what you're getting into, and all of that happens by asking enough questions. So overcome the Eight of Swords by being informed. This is going to help you know if it's worth the risk, and this is going to help you protect your overall well-being, not just your financial well-being, but your emotional and physical well-being as well. And finally, whenever I see a card associated with travel in the reverse, it just shows that you should be cautious. I've been seeing this across many signs this month, so take your time, be aware, don't rush through things if you're trying to drive somewhere, or if you're walking, or if you're traveling. Just make sure that you're very aware of your surroundings so that there's no unnecessary trips or falls or accidents. They're all avoidable, and it really has to do with how awake and how aware you are. Just a couple of notes based on the cards that I want to mention, and then we'll move along to your wealth card. While we're still looking at health, when I look at the environment and I see the Three of Cups, I just want you to exercise moderation. Three of Cups can show excess, particularly with drinking, but also with eating. Any sort of controlled substance can also be abused with this card. So since we're talking about unnecessary risks, don't put yourself at risk, don't put your health at risk just to fit in, just to sort of do something with friends. Moderate this month. You're going to be happy that you did that. The Seven of Pentacles is oftentimes about nutrients and protein and having a balanced diet. So if you are feeling out of sorts, work with a nutritionist, work with a doctor, see if you're in the right space. If you're suffering from any addictive tendencies, also work with a specialist this month and get it under control, because you need to sort of have that grounding in order to embrace the positive things like the King of Pentacles that I'm seeing here. So a lot of what's coming through is environmental or mental. It's not so much in the body. So I think that it's really important. This is why the meditation and the rest is important this month. Once you know what you're feeling, that's really going to help you stay strong. It's sort of your mind over matter this month, okay? Hopefully all of that makes sense. Let's go ahead now in the extended forecast and look at wealth. Wealth is not only about money and resources coming in, but also what you can do in your life to enhance that or bring in more of that. And to that end, we have that this could be a great time for training. Whether this is a certification, going back to college, getting your GED, or just deciding to pick up a book and learn something that you didn't know, this is the best month that you could possibly engage in that. Whatever you decide to invest in, as far as knowledge and skills goes, this is what we see coming through with this, which is advancement, security, and possibly even being able to monetize that skill. So everything starts off with just that simple act of trying something new, and I think that you may decide to do that. Some of you, aside from being a student, may even decide to go into teaching too. Knowledge acquisition and also kind of being a mentor, all of this stuff is going kind of hand in hand with this card. So it's a great time to try new things, and I highly encourage that. Let's go ahead now and take a look at love. Love isn't simply how you feel in a romantic relationship, but it can also be your personal relationships, your family, and I always like to mention that love is a universal currency, so let's just see how you're spending it this month. We have a message here about forgiveness and also learning, and it says, as you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. what a beautiful message. I absolutely believe that you have to kind of let go of things that are holding you back sometimes from the past. And for some of you, that's what this spider card is. You feel sometimes like you're trapped in a moment in time, or that a painful memory from the past has this sort of hold on you and you're sort of cocooned in that energy. So if you can go back to that situation and start with just forgiving yourself, it may be hard to forgive the other party, but sometimes we blame ourselves, especially if, maybe someone in your life passed away and you wish that you'd spent more time with them, or you wish that you would have done something to get them to the doctor, whatever it is. This is basically saying, forgive yourself. There are certain things that were out of your control, and the most important thing is here and now. I said that for another sign, and I think this piece also resonates with you as I'm looking at love, which is the past is just that. It's all of the decisions that we made yesterday or before that. But we are actively affecting tomorrow, right here and right now. So if you can start to realize that you can shift out of this energetic place, especially if there's any sort of sadness, fear, frustration, lower frequencies, if you can start to move towards a better tomorrow, that's where your power is. That's how you can start to heal. And part of that is realizing that that person, that place, that thing in the past that maybe disappointed you, it no longer holds any sort of power or authority over you. So reclaiming your power, forgiving yourself, and eventually understanding that you called that situation in as a teaching opportunity and something that you could learn from, that's also going to help you eventually forgive it. So that's basically what I'm seeing there for you. For some of you, you may need help being able to go into that space. So this is where a professional is going to be essential. Having someone guide you through that and help you heal yourself, give you the tools to do that, I think that this would be great. So it could be a counselor, a therapist, or a friend. Don't be afraid to reach out, okay? As I said earlier with love, by the way, I think one thing that I'm seeing here is a lot of options. So you should be looking for what suits you. We've got a Knight of Swords, a King of Swords, and a King of Pentacles energy coming through. And the most interesting thing that I see is in the ego, the Two of Swords. I think this is the only thing that I have to focus on, which is make sure that you know what you want and your partner knows what you want. If that happens, everything's cool. If you're single and looking and you're waiting for the right person to come through, you have to be very clear on who you are, what it is you're doing in your life, and then also what kind of partner you're trying to bring in. If you just send a note to the universe like, send me a partner, you're kind of playing, Vegas roulette. You don't know what's happening, or like a slot machine. And you may get something awesome, or it may just be a complete bust. So be very clear in what it is that you're trying to call into your life, and it's going to be so much more effective if you do that. Let's go ahead now and take a look at your Destiny card. Destiny is not set in stone, at least in this spread. It's always malleable. It's always affected by free will and free choice. And what I'm really trying to do is help you see the path that you're headed on. And it's up to you to decide, do I want to adjust my own internal GPS? The message you got was reversed. I'm going to go ahead and pull it in the upright position. Lo and behold, it's actually what I was talking about in the channeled message, which was to really make sure that you focus on your protection and recharging yourself. This is from an Archangel Michael deck that's out of print now, but basically what's important here is that you protect yourself as much as you protect others. That's why this was reversed. And it's actually a prayer that is asking for protection of your friends and family. For those of you that are wonderful caretakers, this is basically a reminder again that you need to take care of yourself first. This is not a selfish act. In fact, it's important because think of whether it's an older parent, a child, or as you can hear my dog walking, a pet that is relying on you. If you get sick, they have nobody. So you always need to put your own health first so that you can be there for your child, your parent, your pet, your loved one, your partner as well. So stay healthy for everybody's sake and take care of yourself for everybody's sake. So you're right on even footing with whoever it is that you're supporting. In fact, you're one notch above because you have to stay healthy, alive, and well. And I think that's the key thing here. For a leader, it's also a message of walking the walk. So you have to start to create good habits in your life so that people around you will do the same for them. So if you want to have a healthy and happy family, then operate in that way in your own house. Make sure that you go to bed on time, that you're eating well, that you take care of yourself in the way that you want others to do. And if you're, the head of a company, make sure that you take vacation, that you leave on time, that you don't, sort of get in between people's private time and their work time. They need that work-life balance. So you're going to have to lead by example this month and really practice good self-care and good boundaries. And that's going to be the key to happiness and success. Remember what I said earlier, self-care equals success. Your recharging is going to be key. And I think a lot of you are overdue for a vacation as well. So take that vacation, something that I've been seeing several times over the past few months for different signs. So, if you do that, I feel like it's going to really help. If you've already done it, fantastic. Continue to do small things every day to take care of yourself, and plan the next vacation as well. I think that's going to be important. All right, let's go ahead now and review everything that we talked about today, and then I'll leave you with your closing word. Your channeled message this month was a reminder that self-care equals success, but more importantly, that recharging is going to allow you to be healthy, be happy, and to shine brightly so that you're not kind of flickering like the candle that I saw initially. This is also going to enable you to really maximize any opportunities that are coming your way. It was interesting this month that you got two cards that were very similar in illustration. They both have spiders, but of differing size and sort of differing personalities. This indicates so many things in your life, from the fact that you might be meeting someone that shares commonality with you, but may come across with a sort of different background or different personality. And the important thing for you is, are you going to let those differences outweigh the positives? Because there is a partnership opportunity there, whether it's a friendship or a love relationship is up to you. The other thing that I'm seeing this month is that you want to be really careful of not getting involved in other people's drama, remembering that the web was sticking to this card, and that's an important sort of symbol here for me. So realize that you could get sort of knee deep in something that you don't need or want to do this month. So trust your intuition, trust your spidey sense to guide you in the right direction. Finally, how you present yourself is important. We were talking about perspective and also body language. You want to make sure that you are coming across meeting the person halfway, not being too strong, not being too distant, and also being communicative enough or asking enough questions so that you don't have lingering doubts of if you can trust that person or if they can trust you. Looking at the center, it's a card of recovery this month, and this could be recovery with your health. Seven of Pentacles can be nutrition. We talked about that. It can also be money. The most important thing is whatever you're trying to improve upon this month, you really need to ask questions, both to yourself and also to experts in your life. Eight of Swords is about being willing and ready to look at what needs improvement or what's wrong and finding the solutions to fix it. One thing that this reminds me of is for people that may be afraid of kind of getting out of debt, like not opening up your bills. You have to look at everything and be at least aware of where the need to improve is, because without that, you can't really overcome the challenges. There's a great connection here between what you've been working on in the deep past, the Ace of Wands, and then the King of Pentacles. Some of you may have an idea that could catch on this month. The star is about publicity, about being seen, also about your personality being what is going to bring that idea to fruition. The star is also reminding you that this is a stand out or a step up opportunity for you. Don't say no to this window that's opening up, because what I see here is growth and expansion. Four of Wands, friendship, acclaim. Three of Cups, a really great chance to have good word of mouth. All of this can help you both from your own status to also your own business or own wealth. So this is a chance to really excel and exceed at whatever you're trying to do. Communication skills are essential this month. There is some sort of a disconnect, though, between someone that I see a power dynamic shift. So if you're in charge, someone underneath you could be stronger. If you're working for someone, you may be that strong personality and trying to find a way to convey your message without sort of stepping on your boss's feet. In a love relationship, this can show a difference of age or experience, but communicating is key. And if you can, again, find that middle ground this month so that one personality isn't overshadowing the other, I think that's going to be key. As we look at your ego, this is probably one of the most important cards in the entire spread. The Two of Swords is about understanding who you are and what you want. Once you can kind of figure those two things out, everything else comes into focus. It's also saying that it's just important to take a step in some direction this month. There'll be a couple of things that come through. You may not be able to kind of figure out the perfect solution, but once you've done your research and decided on something, don't sort of sit constantly vacillating in that place. Make a decision, move forward. The Three of Cups shows you have a lot of good support around you. You do want to pay attention to what people are saying, however, because this support could also turn into rumors, or it could backfire if you're not listening to that grassroots energy that is bubbling up in two different spaces this month. King of Swords, it's a great month to communicate. It's a great month to use your communication skills, possibly for success. You might be doing public speaking. You might be writing something. You may just have a lot of visibility this month. Either way, it's looking really good because your outcome is the King of Pentacles, which is wealth, success, new opportunities. And for many of you, you may decide to really spend some time and energy in making your house more comfortable. When I look at the King or the Queen of Pentacles, it's a very domestic-oriented card. So I think of, really making your house and home feel like one. In health this month, we have a very Fool-like card here. It's titled Journey. So of course, some of you may be overdue for a vacation. It's important for you to get outside to kind of change up your environmental experience, and also to avoid unnecessary risks or kind of overindulging, as we talked about with the Three of Cups. With wealth, it's all about knowledge expansion. So whether that's on a traditional track like school or getting a certification, or simply reading a book or learning something new, that's really what you want to experience this month, is something that you can use, and eventually this looks like it could be something that you could even capitalize on. So it's a great expenditure of time and energy. Remember that forgiveness is freedom. We have forgiveness and learning in love. And it says when you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. It's absolutely true, because you start to make room for better experiences and you take your power back. Your final message is to protect yourself and take care of yourself in the same way that you are doing for others. Many of you are fantastic at really making sure that other people are set up for success, but you have to lead by example, and that's what Archangel Michael is reminding you. So this brings your monthly reading to a close. If there's ever a situation or decision that comes through where you would like a little bit more advice, I'd be happy to talk to you. The way that you can reach out is by clicking on the first card in the video or the first link below it. This will take you to my booking site where you can check out rates and availability. So if that makes sense, then I look forward to speaking with you. Otherwise, if you like what you see here, I'd just like to remind you that everything here is viewer supported, and you can absolutely make a difference. The way that you can do that is by clicking on the second card or the second link. This will take you to my website where you can look at different ways that you can become a patron. And this can be giving like a one-time contribution as little as $1, or joining me on Patreon, or now even clicking the join button here on YouTube, which will set up a sustaining contribution. And what this does is it allows me to make purchases of cool decks like this one that I was using for the Oracle cards. It also allows me to, more importantly, really put the time on my calendar that I need to do videos just like this. Each one takes approximately a day a piece, so suffice to say your support makes that possible and allows me to take the time out of client readings and other work to do just that. So I'd like to say thank you for everyone that's done it in the past and everyone that's thinking of doing it today. Finally, this is the easiest way that you can support the channel, and it only involves a few clicks. First and foremost, if you haven't already clicked like and subscribe, consider doing that now. You can also opt into notifications by clicking on the bell, and you can, if you'd like to go a step further, click on the third card and third link, which will connect you with my different social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my newsletter. And then once you've connected there, you can share the content that you see here on your timelines, which helps me reach a bigger audience. And that really also helps me accomplish one of my goals, which is to start some great communication and dialogue over spirituality, to raise consciousness and to help people. So I just want to say thank you. A simple act like that makes a really big impact. Let's go ahead now and leave you with your closing message. I think the big thing that came through this month is that you have a lot of opportunities coming through, but there's two things you have to focus on. The first is taking care of yourself and leading the charge, or leading by example. It's interesting that we have swords coming through even with Archangel Michael. And what I'm seeing here with the King of Swords and the Knight of Swords is to really make sure that your communication skills are on point this month. Don't let somebody steal your shine, your thunder, your moment, because we have the Star card here and we have someone that could be sort of vying for that attention. You have a moment this month where you can really make a difference in your life, in someone else's life, or just in the world at large. Don't let that slip through your fingers. You have so much support and so much energy around community that I think that This is a really great month to get outside, to get out there, to really get your name circulating. And if you do that, I see a lot of growth and a lot of recovery for some of you too, because we go from the Seven of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles. Just don't underestimate your own abilities this month. That would be the second component. So one is to own your power, to take care of yourself. And the second one is not to underestimate what you can do with that power once you've sort of refilled your own fuel tank, if that makes sense. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I hope that this was a helpful reading for you, and I look forward to seeing you again in 1 month's time. Until then, I wish you love, light, and happiness. Please be kind to yourself and be kind to others, and I'll see you again next month.